Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully my microphone and other fun stuff are working. Just double checking. Yep, the mic is good. I hear things. Yep. All right. Well, in theory, I am live streaming, but I'm not so sure about that. In any case, thank you for checking in today. This will be a short sit rep for Saturday, 10th of July. Today is Cyber Polygon Day. Yes, today is the day that a bunch of pendejos over in Russia who come from all over the world will all decide to collectively screw with the internet and see what they crash. Will they do it? Who knows? It's been one of those things people have freaked out about for a very long time. And really, let's see if I can find something about it, and let's kind of look at that fun. So if we share, oh, I can't share a screen the way I thought I would. So going to the Cyber Polygon main website, among the partners are Banco Santander, IBM, Interpol. Oh, that's fun. By the way, this cigar is a local brand, not something I do very often. I'm not a smoker per se, but every now and then I'll get a gift, and I do enjoy a nice cigar from time to time. So Visa, and of course the World Economic Forum, and ICANN, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. So the whole exercise was actually meant to create a cybersecurity exercise to see what they can or cannot get away with in the internet. So apparently, while they were in the midst of their training, there's reports that Cyber Polygon was actually hacked, or they were attempting to hack the Cyber Polygon while they were in the middle of it, which is kind of funny. This is one of these interesting things. Oh, somebody's on there. Oh, hey, good to see you're exploring. And it's funny. The first time you guys had reached out to me from some of the Jeep clubs, I saw the Jeep front end, and I looked. I didn't have my glasses. Like, what the hell did he put there? Hello. And then I realized it was the Jeep logo. So hashtag bring your damn glasses when you read stuff. Apparently. But in any case, I'm glad you made it, and the other folks. So, article today, the Bank of Russia explores centralized digital currency system that can restrict certain purchases as part of the Polygon 2021 exercise. So let's think about that for a second. These guys want to be able to create a digital, now they already can track what you buy, but they have to usually go through a bank to see what your purchase records were. And just because you bought something at a gun store doesn't mean you actually bought a gun or you bought a drug or whatever. It's just a receipt for that store. This is actually Russia exploring. Digital ruble will explore setting conditions on permitted items of use of a given unit of currency. So this is an interesting, and I'll throw that out there for y'all. Sorry, Apple commands. I'm trying to post the wrong stuff here. Here we go. So interesting stuff. They basically, part of the Russians' reason for being part of this is because they're exploring digital currency, basically the Russian ruble Bitcoin, but their ruble Bitcoin will actually come with caveats. So you'll have this card to your bank account, but yeah. Oh yeah, no, I saw, just exploring every path. That's actually very good. See, I had no such brilliance with the roaming prepper. I travel everywhere, and I try to be prepared for stuff, and I just put the two together. That's actually funny. We were looking at a Rubicon, and the only thing that broke my heart about the Rubicon was the 16-gallon gas tank. I believe it's 16-gallon, and we like to road trip. So I was wondering if that was going to be a problem. I guess I could get external tanks and put them on the Jeep, but now I'm toting, gas cans around. So uh, we both drove it, me and the wife, and we both liked it, but we were kind of like, ugh. Uh, we weren't sure. So yeah, by all means, share if you have a Rubicon. Let me know what your thoughts are about that, because we were thinking of that being the fun truck for the family. But in any case, so the Bank of Russia explores centralized digital currency. Now, this kind of blows my mind when you think about it. So he says, just imagine, this is the governor of Russia's central bank, Alexei Zabatkin. He says, just imagine that you are able to give your kids some money in digital rubles and then restrict their use for purchase of junk food. That would be okay. Hey, Northern Girl, glad you made it. Wait, you're picking berries? What berries? Blueberries, raspberries? But in any case, well, Northern Girl lets me know what she's picking up there. That's their plan. Now, think about it, though. That can be expanded to you're not going to buy alcohol, or you can't buy ammunition, or you can't buy certain types of clothing. Oh, I love raspberries. I don't know if y'all can see each other, but Northern Girl Hobbies is at the family's place, and they're picking raspberries, which is really awesome. Hey, Stuart, I'm glad you made it, man. Yeah, this is one of those cases where this country is openly stating that they're looking at a digital currency, and it's not because it will protect the people, it's not because it will enhance the economy. Straight up exploring digital currency that can restrict certain purchases as part of their Polygon involvement. And that's kind of scary. Now, they say, of course, something innocent, like we can restrict junk food, but imagine if you fall into some category of we don't love you type of person. Well, they'll just restrict everything. They'll just turn your card off. Now, granted, they can kind of do that now in the States, but they kind of have to go through a bank. A subpoena needs to be involved. Basically, Russia would say, we control digital rubles no matter where they are. We don't like what you're doing. We just push a button and you'll just get turned off. Um, Not a fan of that. So anyway, as I said earlier, these pendejos over in Cyber Polygon are doing this event, trying to see what they can or can't break. Let's see, the threat post says Cyber Polygon 2021 towards secure development of digital ecosystems. And they do point out cybersecurity is one of the biggest threats to the United States and to the world, and this is true. Repeated hacks are causing a lot of disruption. There were about 200 businesses, small businesses and mid-size, being affected by a recent hack, again, of an IT vendor. If you remember my other video, I kind of traced a line from 2003 all the way. I got flies in my drink, stupid flies. Oh, okay. Thanks, Northern Girl. I appreciate that. I really need to go to Discord and do something there as well. This whole hacking thing, they're going after IT companies. So instead of going after 500 individual companies, they'll go after one. What scares me, PayPal's been hacked like 55 times because they're just But if they hack Visa, if they hack MasterCard, American Express, that would be super disruptive. So being a guy who travels a lot, one thing I always recommend, bring cash. If you're on a road trip in the state, bring enough cash to fill your tank at least once, at a minimum, 50, $100 in cash that you can fill your tank so you can drive the heck back across Texas or Rhode Island or wherever you are to get home, or to pay for a night's hotel. Ideally, be able to do both. Hunker down for a night and then get your butt home. Keep in mind, if a bad hack happens, it's not going to happen on a Sunday when everyone's at home barbecuing. It could, but if they want to do damage, they're going to do this kind of stuff on a Monday, Tuesday, just before lunch. People are all in the offices, they're commuting, and they shut everything down. And now you're 15, 20 miles from home. If you live, for instance, if you live in Queens, say Flushing, Queens, and you're working in Manhattan, and you have to take the subway in and out, I believe that was the 7 train, or was it the F train? Crap. Anyway, you could take the Long Island Railroad, actually, from Flushing, but you take the train, and it's a 8-minute, or, it's a 10-minute train ride, maybe 15. It's actually a 12-hour walk from Manhattan to Queens. If you can get on a bridge, they don't shut the bridges down, which is something they did during 9/11. They locked down Manhattan. Downtown Houston, to say the north side, say the Spring area, which is kind of the suburbs of Houston on the north side, on a walk, 12 to 14 hours. And that's assuming everything's being normal. That's assuming there's not car accidents and rioting and chaos. It's just you get out, grab your little bag, and you start walking. So definitely, they're trying to play war games with these hacks. And the only reason they're probably doing this is because they truly are afraid of it coming to fruition. So by all means, pay attention to this kind of stuff. Make sure you have some cash with you. And again, pay attention to what governments are doing. That's that article I put the link to in the chat. That's the first I've heard of somebody actually openly stating, oh yeah, we want to digitize our currency so that we can control exactly what it is you are or not purchasing. I think my cigar went out, actually. Now there's ash everywhere. Really, thank you, Ashley. Thank you for joining us. Northern Girl, I will try to get over there. I completely, I didn't get your last email. I got the first one. I never got the one with the Discord stuff. So I'm going to jump over there and see. I'm assuming Discord is like a YouTube, correct? Because that would definitely be interesting. Now I am on Rumble, which is kind of like my backup server, but Rumble hasn't been quite as popular as I believe Discord has. So I'll go check that out as well. Sorry for the wind. The dogs were flipping out inside, so I figured I'd come outside. But in any case, Cyber Polygon is going on now. Thus far, they have not broken the internet. I think they're just trying to war game and see where their weak points are. Unfortunately, they're holding this in Russia. So for all we know, some of the Russian hackers are actually in the Cyber Polygon. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But strange stuff, definitely strange stuff afoot with that. So pay attention to what they're doing, because they're not playing nicely. But I got another one for you, which you guys are going to love. Hold on a second. Let me find it here, and I will drop the link for everyone. The extreme heat on the West Coast. So I'm going to try and share my screen real quick. But maybe a link. So right now, the West Coast is experiencing triple-digit heat in places that normally don't get it. Now, they've already gone through a drought, and now they have triple-digit heat. So California farmers are now down to losing 25% of their water, and it may be going up. And now they've hit the homeowners. Thanks, Northern Girl. I'll definitely check it out at the end of this broadcast. So the farms, as of a few weeks ago, were told they're going to lose a quarter of their water, and that's in California, part of Nevada, Southern Cal, part of Arizona, and part of New Mexico. So basically, whatever was fed off the Hoover Dam and that whole West Coast water table has been affected. But now they just put out a notice this morning that homes are going to be losing 20% of their water, and they may start going to a rolling blackout of water, where certain areas will be given water at certain times, or they'll be restricted for certain times. That's almost third world country stuff. That's stuff that happened in Venezuela during the riots when Chavez was getting sick just before Maduro took over. they're going to have they're threatening not only to do electrical rolling blackouts, but water limitations, which is just going to cause more water hoarding, because when your water is on, people are going to stock up for the days they're not going to have water. I hope it doesn't come to that. It doesn't sound like it. But Ashley, that's a very good question. And I'll see if I can find that link for you guys, and I'll put it in there. Let me bear with me just a second. When I do, unfortunately, there we go. Water restrictions, California. Let's see if I. Okay, so Governor Gavin, who's right now they're trying to recall this knucklehead, is trying to encourage all Californians to reduce water use by 15%, as 50 of the 58 agricultural counties are now in a drought-related state of emergency. And you know what? Just exploring, that's funny, because you guys are having the opposite happen to you. You guys have an inundation on the East Coast, which again is not normal. Normally the South is getting clobbered with the hurricanes and the rains, and you guys get hit with the nor'easters later in the year, unless the hurricane kind of makes a left turn and hits, the eastern seaboard. But California is getting clobbered now, and I physically went to the Hoover Dam about a month ago now, which is July. Yeah, at the end of May, we went to Vegas. And okay, now are you guys getting hit with a bunch of rain in South Carolina? Because I heard you were for a bit, and then it stopped. But I know, like New York, the subways are flooded, which doesn't make any sense because they didn't get that much rain. And there were videos of people walking waist deep in subway water, which is full of caca. It's shit. There's pee and stuff and chemicals, so which is nasty. And how that happened is another boondoggle. So you're getting it in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I know that a little toward the tri-state area. I know Philly was getting hit, but Pittsburgh, I guess, was far enough to the west that they weren't getting it as bad. Plus, they have that mountain range. The Appalachians kind of break that weather up a little bit. My neighbor has this obnoxious car, and he really tries hard not to make noise, but he can't, because when he hits the gas, it backfires and it goes all the way down the street. My neighbor's Chihuahua's flipping biscuits over there. But yeah, so you got a lot of this weather. Oddly enough, so Houston's been getting rained on, according to my family down there. They've been getting rained on for the better part of a week and a half. So is South Louisiana. So right now the ground is saturated, and they're getting localized flooding just from rain. It's just continuous rain dropping on Houston. Out in West Texas, which about this time would normally be like California, triple-digit heats, minimal rain, we got so much rain that automobiles in Pecos and Odessa were floating down the street. It looked like Hurricane Harvey all over again. But then a little further east, the Midland Big Spring was not they got a lot of rain, but they did not get rain to where cars were floating down the street. And that, by the way, screwed up a bunch of energy sector stuff, because it got so bad the maintenance crews could not maintain the wind farms. They couldn't get up on the solar panels either. And a lot of the drilling rigs are having trouble moving from one location to the other to drill the next well, because the 18-wheelers were getting stuck on the lease roads. So it's causing a lot of weirdness in the country. So if you're planning to travel, and I know a lot of us like to travel around, make sure you have, I don't know, I wish I could give you guys a number, like $100, $200 in cash if you can swing it, or a gift card that you put money on every payday. And that's like the emergency card. That's something I told my kids to do, is to get a gift card, like a Visa gift card, and put $25 on it, and then register it, and every payday drop $25 on it, right? Because most Americans will go to damn Burger King or Whataburger and piss off $25 a week. Put that in there and keep that in your car or keep it hidden on your person. If you get stuck somewhere, you have access to whatever's on there, a couple of $100. It'll be enough money to fill your tank and get a hotel room for a night so you can figure out what your next move is. If you're evacuating, and I can say firsthand, having been on the responder side for Harvey, it's really bad idea to try and make important decisions in an evacuation in your car because you had to move or leave. You want to at least have a game plan of some type before you hit the streets. Keep in mind, National Guard, the state guards, civil defense type organizations all across the country, they all have jobs, right? They do other stuff for a living and then they get called. So if there's an emergency, especially, hurricane, you kind of see them. But, you get a sudden drought, you get a sudden set of tornadoes, people, even if calls are made, right, the governor puts out the notice, all right, start calling up reserves and calling up guardsmen and FEMA and Red Cross, it takes a week to 2 weeks to fully mobilize assets. A lot of people don't realize this. And you can't just pull federal troops out of the bases because they have their tasking sometimes a year in advance. So redirecting federal troops into a domestic emergency is not very easy either. So if there's an emergency, you'll get some advanced elements like QRF, quick response teams, engineers, surveyors, maybe some MPs for traffic control. They can roll out quick, maybe 24 to 48 hours if the weather permits. But to get the bulk of the equipment and people you need for an emergency could take a week, could take 2 weeks, depending on how bad it is and how big an area is affected. And so, and if an area is worse than your area, assets may go there before they go to you. So you might be with no power, no water in the dark, but someone else has the same thing and they're flooded. So they're going to go and rescue them and wait for you. They're going to almost triage how they're going to approach the incident. So if you have a plan, if you know, okay, if I need to leave my hometown, I'm going to my cousin's house, or I'm going to my uncle, or and make sure you talk to them in advance. If you're close to your family, I'm close to some of my family. I'm not close to all of my family. So there's some we already have agreements. Like, look, if something goes down by you, call me, grab your gear, grab your bug out bag, whatever you have, jump in your vehicle. Or if nothing else, send the kids to us. Fly them out. We'll collect the kids at the airport, and you deal with the flooding or hurricane or whatever at the house. But you don't want to be the person who's in a vehicle, in a traffic jam, not sure where to go. During Hurricane Rita, so the drive from Spring, Texas to the Woodlands, northwest Houston to the Woodlands, which is a small city north of Houston, would take you on a Saturday traffic day with shoppers and everything, 45 minutes to an hour. To go to Conroe would be 2 hours. I had a neighbor, he had to evacuate. He tried to go to Conroe. 9 hours later, he was only halfway there and he gave up. He turned around and made it home. And the flooding thank God, didn't hit his house. It tore up the neighbors' houses down the street. He was able to get to his house, but it was dark, no water, the 9 yards. And this was a Marine. This was a former Marine. It's a smart guy. He's trained. And he said, we had a plan. We had our documents copied. We had the hurricane supplies. I told the kids, pack your bags the night before. He was ready. And the plan failed because he didn't realize everyone and their mother was going to go the same way at the same time. So you get caught in that kind of traffic jam. Cars were running out of gas on the highway in 100-degree heat. And then it was flooding, and then there was rain, and then it was hot again. And people died, literally got heat stroke on the side of the road. So you get caught in the highway, have enough cash where you can divert and go, you know what, if that hotel's open, I'm going to go there. Now, they may not have power 2 hours later, but at least you have a shelter and you're off the road. Oh, yeah. If you guys were from Florida, because you guys got hit. So what was it? We got hit by Harvey. Then it was it Maria went over and just steamrolled Puerto Rico. And I mean, they basically, for those of you who aren't familiar with that, or was it Irma? Crap, now I don't remember. The hurricane that went over Puerto Rico literally had the winds of an F5 tornado, but covered the whole island in its size, and it just obliterated the island. It was, I had a college buddy down there, and he said it looked like a bomb went off. He said if it wasn't for the fact I was here for the hurricane, I would have sworn someone nuked Puerto Rico. He said it was that bad. The suction from that hurricane that then went up Florida and tore up Florida. Hey, Jennifer, I'm glad you made it. That hurricane that then turned and went up Florida and destroyed Florida, parts of Florida anyway, the suction was so great that on the other Caribbean islands, the water that's normally on the beach had gotten sucked out to about 300 yards out. So somebody sent me a picture of them saying, this is where the water was last night. And then they just start walking out into what was the ocean, the Caribbean. And he turns around and he's like, I'm about a kilometer out and the water's gone. Yeah, Jennifer, you see, yeah, it's, yeah, I have some family left there, but I had college buddies there, and that storm was so massive. But you see those storms coming, right? You see them. They're not a surprise. Well, they shouldn't be a surprise, right? But again, have those plans in place, because if you don't want to make important decisions stuck in a car. If you have to, you have to, but you don't want that to be your solution. You want to at least say, okay, we're going to go to Uncle Joe's house. If we can't go to Uncle Joe, we're going to Aunt Mary. If we can't go to Aunt Mary, we're going to my college buddy and wherever, and let them know, hey, I'm going to head to you. Now, something else to keep in mind, if you must leave because of drought, blackouts, because all sorts of weirdness is going on, if you have to move, tell your family, or at least tell a few people in advance, hey, look, my default place is going to A. If I can't go to A, I'm going to B. And let family know. So like I have family in New Orleans, and the running agreement is if something happens there, they're going to send the kids to me out on the other side of Texas. If it's really bad, they're all coming. But they already know if they can't come to me, they're going to go north to my sister who's in the Carolinas, or they'll go, to so-and-so's house over in Oklahoma. Like, they have 3 directions they're going to try to go. So they have some options. And they can make those decisions on the fly, but at least they have a go-to plan. When they, like I said, you'd be shocked, those of you, and again, if you lived in Florida or any of the hurricane states, you've seen it time and again, people with all their belongings. And it was sad too, because during Harvey, I was up for a week and change, and then I cracked a tooth toward the end of my deployment, and that hurt so bad. I basically went to my medic and I said, Doc, how many Advil can I take before I die? Because this is killing me. So he got my body weight and he said, you can take X. So I took those. I made it through another 36 hours, and then the captain looked at me and said, you need to go home. You're done. So they rolled me out of that, and I went and got a tooth pulled in 3 pieces out of the back of my jaw. That, by the way, that's the worst thing in the world. I could take a punch in the eye or falling down any day. You get a cracked tooth, it like shuts your brain down. But even in that environment, I had to call the dentist in advance. Thank God he wasn't flooded. He was able to get a nurse to come in, and they got me taken care of. So those things can happen when so again, try to keep your medical stuff up to date. Bring copies of your insurance cards. I have photocopies and scans of insurance cards, IDs, also a phone list, and then the physical addresses of places to go. And then if you have to bail, tell your relatives and friends, people you trust, hey, I'm going to go to so-and-so's house. If I can't make it there, I'm going here. This is their numbers. I'll touch base with you when I get there. That way, your friends and family can say, okay, well, that's a 5-hour drive, give you some leeway for traffic. If I don't hear from that family member by the end of the next day, I'm going to be like, okay, something happened because they didn't show up at either destination. So where are they? And that's when you can physically let authorities know, hey, look, they were going here, they never made it. What happened? And they can start putting out alerts. Like I said, during Harvey, a lot of people were just, and the storm was there. They saw it coming, and they waited, and they didn't do anything. But during that same deployment, after I got my tooth out, they left me, they shut me down because I had stitched jaw and everything. And I went to a local grocery store that I found open, and the constables in the north side of Houston were driving National Guard Humvees that they had borrowed from one of the bases up north to pick people up. And so I was picking on the cops, right? I walked over and I was like, those belong to us, man. And he was like, no. He said, it turned out that cop actually had done 2 deployments in Afghanistan. Really nice guy, too. And he said, Bud, we sunk 5 police cruisers in 24 hours. And the head police leadership went, we can't afford to keep sinking Crown Vics and interceptors in this water. So they called the National Guard. The National Guard showed up with a convoy and left the keys and said, okay, we'll come back in 2 weeks to pick them up. Make sure they have diesel in them, and left. So they got the Humvees. But they were picking families up that had stuffed everything in a trash bag. And I saw the stream of Humvees come into that grocery store parking lot, and there was a stream of family coming in the other side. Thanks, Northern Girl. Well, thank my sons. They're the ones who wound up overseas in all sorts of fun places. I got to save people from angry storms. But yeah, the boys who went overseas saw some ugly there. But I felt so bad for these folks because they literally had their lives in trash bags. And I spoke to one of them. They were, because one of the cops could not speak Spanish. The cop I spoke to was actually a Spanish guy, but he drove off. The other cop didn't speak Spanish, and they didn't speak English. So I heard them struggling, and I walked over, and I was translating. And I asked them, I said, well, where's your home? Do you have anything? They had enough presence of mind to grab their passports, which was great because that made their life much easier. And I knew the location of some of the shelters, so I was able to tell the cop, this is where I think the shelters were last time I checked. I actually named one, and he said, oh, that shelter got flooded. They had to evacuate that shelter into another shelter because the water was coming up so fast. Where we were staging was getting flooded, and then people had to flee again. But it was sad, and a lot of it was they didn't know. Interesting fact, afterwards we went and surveyed some of the flooded areas and spoke to the residents, and a lot of the families that were new to the country or were working like seasonal workers, so they had their families with them, and even a lot of blue-collar families from the States, they didn't know it would flood like this. They didn't know what to do. Houston holds a Hurricane Expo every year. The year of Harvey, before Harvey hit, it was not a big event. The spring after Harvey hit, they couldn't find enough parking. They had to move it to the convention center because so many people showed up. And it was just ignorance. They just literally did not know that things would flood. They didn't know what they needed to bring. So, again, you want to make those decisions before, because, California got burned up, last year before last, all the fires, some of which were deliberate, some were natural. If California is going through a drought and a heat wave, sadly, it's not a very difficult prediction to connect those 2 dots and say they're going to have a bunch of fires later in the year. If that happens, you're going to see those evacuations. People are going to have to flee. If you know someone there, or if you're in a hurricane area that could get flooded, talk to your relatives and tell them, hey, look, and and preppers, we get beat up by relatives. I don't know if any of you guys have this happen, that you tell them, hey, you need to have food and you need to have, copies of your papers. And they're like, hey, Q, I'm glad you made it. Um, uh, yeah, they're not prepared for it. The big irony, Jennifer, is when so we had the freeze here in Texas. Everyone saw the whole grid basically se cagó, it died, and down it went. Most of it anyway. My daughter and her boyfriend were in an apartment complex over in Houston, and he was a former firefighter. He works at a hospital now. He's a doctor, and she's a vet tech. So they have all this medical, they have their bags, and they like to backpack. They're very outdoorsy. So he said, I'm going to get dehydrated food. I'm getting a propane stove. And this was day one, before everyone else freaked out. He was like, we're not getting caught with that. So they bought all this stuff. And she said during the blackout, at midnight, their dog starts barking. So they look out the window, because she's barking down the window. They're on like this third floor. People are trying to get to their cars to keep warm, and they're falling down in the ice. And I said, well, did they not see the ice? She said they had no flashlights down. It was like a dark maze. I mean, think of a city and it goes dark. There's stuff everywhere. There are obstacles and pipes and God knows what. She said, Dad, we had to go down with flashlights and bandage people because they were getting cut open, falling down. And she said that it's like Harvey came and went, nobody learned anything. So talk to your relatives. I actually go to the nieces and nephews if the parents are not amenable, and tell them, you know what? If there's a blackout, don't freak out. You need a flashlight. And then the kids tell the parents. So, I kind of sneak around some of the cousins that way by encouraging the kids. And kids love things like that, like flashlights and glow sticks. I mean, you could get kids a 50-pack of glow sticks and not see them for a week. But try to encourage people to at least have a box of lights. I mean, the fact that, she looked out at the apartments and said, Dad, there must be 100 units I can see from my window from various facilities. And she said, I saw 8 of them had a light of any type. Most of them were walking around trying to get to their cars at 2 in the morning because it was too cold in the apartments. Why, guys? I'm preaching to the choir here because all of you are kind of paying attention to what's going on. And these are the people, unfortunately, that are going to get hurt, or they're going to panic and do dumb things, trying to take things from other people instead of making themselves ready. On the channel, I've been trying to post ways of I keep preaching your personal supply chain. Find ways. You can't control, like, the economy. We can't control the supply chain. If China and Taiwan get into it, we can do nothing here. But what you can do is look at what you spend, where you get it, and then shorten the supply chain. This is what a company would do, my corporate experience. So if I'm buying steel from, I don't know, from Germany, right? And that German manufacturer burns down, which actually happened, by the way. A very big steel manufacturer in Germany burned down, which was an industrial accident, it turned out. My company had alternate contacts in Brazil. They had some in Canada. They had a smaller facility in Pittsburgh. So as soon as that news came out, they immediately adjusted. Some of our competition couldn't because they didn't think that far ahead. So when their primary went out, they were in a panic, whereas we already had pricing agreements, we had logistical paperwork, everything in order. You try to do that for yourself personally. So, for instance, today we went to the farmers market. I met 2 new local farmers. They were young guys, 2 families. Actually, they're cousins. And the guy said, we bought last year because of the COVID. So he may be a secret prepper. I didn't ask him. They bought a bunch of acreage outside of town here. And he said we had irrigation already built into the back of the property. So we extended it. And we're hoping by next year to be a 365 farm for farmers markets. And I thought that was great. So now I have their business card. I'm following them on social media. So now that's a local farm. I met another one. He's a rancher. He's a couple hours away, but he said if you call, you have an order, and it's a minimum, like 50, $100. He said, but if you can get more people in your subdivision to come with you, bring up big coolers. He said, we'll pre-freeze and seal everything. We'll mark the individual products, person one, person two, person three. A couple of you make a road trip, pick it up, and then divvy them up down here. So what I'm trying to do is shorten that supply chain. So now I'm not relying on Walmart, who relies on Frodo in California, who relies on so-and-so in Indonesia. I'm now relying on a dude in my own state. And I've already got my wine kind of sorted out, and my vodka, actually, because both of my favorites are Texas made. So that works out well. So I got my priorities, right? You have to get the booze first. But well, even actually my cigar, this guy, he imports the tobacco leaf, but then he also gets some from here in the States. He's an American. His wife's from Guatemala, Cuba. I can't remember. She's from somewhere in Central America or the Caribbean, and that's their hobby. They roll cigars on the side. It's like their little side hustle. So the guy has a corporate job, and then he does this. So now I have a cigar supplier right here, and also I have a coworker from the Dominican Republic, and his family is doing that too. So, but also even there's a few custom firearm parts makers in Texas that operate within what the regs say they can do. Hey, Klingon Princess, good to see you. Good morning at Seed Snatcher. Oh, that was funny, by the way. I totally misread Northern Girl's title. I thought she put seeds are all morons. And I didn't have my glasses, and I was like, what? And finally I clicked it and realized what she was actually trying to say. But shorten your supply chains, right? So if you can get the products you normally like or need and get them closer to home, you're not going to be as affected by, now they may be affected, right? So the supply chain does eventually hit everyone, but you may be less affected by something that happens between China and the US, like Walmart would, if you're getting stuff locally. It may cost you a little more, you may have to pay a little bit of a premium, but you can still, it still makes a difference if you shorten that supply chain. Plus you tend to get better product, right? Because they know they're competing with H-E-B and Walmart and all these other places. So get to be friends with the farmers markets. Go find suppliers, go find farms where you can get those kind of products. You may not be able to do it for everything, but if you can do it for enough stuff, when things start happening in the world around us that we cannot control individually, you can at least have a fallback and say, you know what, this guy, this farm is doing really good stuff. Hey, Ashley, I'm going to buy from this guy, I'm going to buy from that guy or that girl, as the case may be. That even goes for if you breed animals. I know there's some guys who breed Australian Shepherds and Border Collies. And every now and then they have the accidental Border Shepherd because one gets into the other's kennel, but which are really cool looking dogs, by the way. Being able to provide that or get that resource locally, I mean, a great ranch dog is always valuable. Just try to shorten those supply chains. We can't protect ourselves from everything, but tell your family, be a pain in the butt and tell them, hey, be ready, for crying out loud. You have a drought and super high heat in California. California's, I hate to predict it this way, but I bet California will be on fire all sorts of ways because of an idiot or lightning strike in about 2 months. And they're going to be in trouble. Right now, the East Coast is inundated. West Texas is inundated, which is just weird. And Houston's just under a bunch of rain. So there's stuff going on that we can't predict. Like someone pointed out on the chat earlier, you know, hurricanes, you see them coming. You don't necessarily see a drought coming. they say, oh, it's going to be hot weather, and all of a sudden, bam, it's you have a problem. So yeah, so pay attention to this kind of stuff. It's important. And it's the same preps, guys. So those of you who have new preppers in your families, I apparently have created new preppers in the family, not realizing it until after. Uh, the same basic stuff, right? Some food, some water, some meds. And if you can get them closer, by the way, speaking of meds, depending on your insurance, some insurances will allow you to mail order 90-day supplies. So like if you take cholesterol meds or heart meds and it's something you need, you can purchase a 90-day supply, and you have your copay or whatever. It comes out a little cheaper for your insurance, which means it's cheaper for you, but you have 90 days. So if something happens, you're not like, holy cow, grandma needs heart meds at the last minute. Because in theory, you should, and normally they let you order the next batch when you're down to 1 month. So, okay, so yeah, and the redwoods are so pretty. But yeah, Klingon Princess, I can see that. That would be. So, guys, what's going on in your areas? I know somebody, well, Klingon Princess is, I guess you're on the West Coast, so you're getting the drought. And Just Exploring is on the other coast, and they just finally stopped with the rain. Is everyone else seeing these weird weather patterns, or you freaking flies? And by the way, my fly-eating corgi got busted because she attacked a shoe and peed my carpet. So she's in her kennel. She's in dog jail right now. But the most stubborn freaking dogs are the corgis. Super smart and so mischievous. But so PA is rain-soaked as well. And I know Houston's soaked too. Now, is the rain on the East Coast such that it's impeding major roads, or is it just like localized kind of flooding at the moment? Because that also affects the way you can get stuff around to each other. But doggone, shoot, that's part of the reason I was smoking a cigar, because hey, Northern girls, take care of yourself and be safe out there. Okay, so you guys are having localized flooding, impacting gardens. See, and right now, all the crops out west are really getting hurt right now. Ironically, I'm driving through. Oh, the mockingbird's back. I don't know. You can see him. Oh, he's there. So he likes to dive bomb my dogs. He'll go, and except for the corgi, he's scared of her because she tries to grab him out of the sky. With her stubby legs, she can jump about 3 feet anyway, straight up. She almost got him the other day, so he won't come around if he sees her. That's right. And we also had hailstorms in the middle of the country. I know Argentina lost a chunk of their corn crop, or Brazil lost a chunk of their soy and corn a few months ago, which is what they were selling to Argentina, which is a very big beef country. Both are, but Argentina relied on Brazil, and Brazil doesn't have enough. Now Argentina's in trouble. And in the meantime, people are fighting over toilet paper in Venezuela because their leadership are a bunch of pendejos. But don't know, I won't even get started on Venezuela. The one good thing is that everyone in the States has the U.S. has benefited so greatly. Oh, you have a corgi as well, yeah. We have two, but the big one is an angel. It's the little one is a terrorist. She's got that blood of the Viking dogs from God knows when. But she went through. She was tearing up the house, so she got put in dog jail. Everything. See, and all right, Jennifer. Thanks for checking in. Be safe out there. But guys, some of this weather we can predict. The hurricanes, we see them coming. The extreme heat, we kind of see coming because they can forecast it. The droughts, the flooding, they sometimes hit us with very little to no notice. So make some plans now. Scan your important docs, make a folder, put them on a thumb drive, whatever. Have those things available in the event you've got to leave. You don't want to be looking for it when the power's out at 2 in the morning and you're in the road trying to decide which way to go. And speaking of that, go to a truck stop and buy physical maps. Get some physical maps and keep, of your state at least, and maybe a couple of states around you, keep one set in each car and then keep a set in the house. It'll cost you, $20-$30 to buy all the stupid maps. If you go to the visitor center of your state or your community, you may get one for free. So, but yeah, I'm glad Jeep's getting some rain if it was much needed. Right now, California needs the rain. It all made a right turn and went up the East Coast. So have those docs ready, have that plan ready. And again, we can't control a lot of this stuff. So I'm not a doomsday type of guy. I'm an engineer. I'm like, oh, this is broken, let's fix it. So I'm always trying to think of what's the solution set for the problem. So sit down, war game it with your spouse, or if you have a group, or with your family or whoever. Oh, see, but you're near a river. That's a perfect place to own a Jeep. But yeah, just make some plans, have it at least in the back of your mind. If you write it down, even better, more power to you. Have them available so that you don't, and I have a video called the Bug Out Book. So if you want to go find that video, it's only about, I try to keep those technical videos under 10 minutes. Go check them out and go see what I'm talking about. But have those docs in there and have a couple of $100 if you can swing it, or on a gift card. Hell, for Christmas, you can tell people, you know what? Get me gift cards. Don't have to mail me a gift from Amazon. Send me a gift card. And then put the gift cards in a coffee can instead of the cash, and register them and put your PIN in. So if you need to pull cash, you can pull cash off the card, but you have it there. You get stuck somewhere, you have to bail out of the house and the power's out, you can't hit an ATM. You grab the cards, grab the cash, grab the stuff, go. Hopefully not. But keep in mind, you may be traveling if something happens. Okay, I'm willing to bet a third to a half of us, if there was a major hack or some other incident, will be somewhere other than our house when it happens. So have that contingency in the back of your mind, and just have a plan to get back home or get to somewhere safe. And like I told you with some of my family, where they're like, we're sending the small kids to you while we deal with a hurricane or a flood, that's a viable solution. You run to the airport and say, okay, kids, you're going to go visit your uncle for 3 weeks. And, I pick up the nieces and nephews here and let my relatives battle what has to be battled. And they don't have to worry about children getting hurt because it's just the adults. So have those plans in the back of your mind, guys. We can't control the weather. We can't control Cyber Polygon and those knuckleheads out in Russia. So control what you can. And again, like I always say, shorten those supply lines, guys. If you can get product or services closer to home, always a good thing. Yeah, and Big Cat, hey, Big Cat, it's good to see you, by the way. Yeah, the insurance companies are going to have to raise rates, or they're going to try to raise rates on people in certain areas, because it's they're on the hook for the liability. And there's some places they won't offer insurance in certain areas because they've just been hit so many times. So have those plans in the back of your mind, gang. And if you see your friends or fellow preppers or whatever panicking, tell them not to panic. That doesn't help. Just tell them, have some plans and fall back on them. who was it who posted some really good stuff? I don't know if it was Northern Girl. She just had to leave. So about starting fires, even know how to do that. Practice some of this with your kids. Uh, I did it with my kids. We're going to learn how to use a fire extinguisher. I found an old extinguisher, a couple of them actually, little ones, and we went and set a box on fire in the middle of the street. And one of the kids put it out. And then I set another box on fire, and the kids put it out. And then the cop showed up and asked me what the hell I was doing, and I explained. So then the cop lit one, and the kids went and put it out. He talked to the kids. I had a bunch of kids by then, kind of the whole block. All the children showed up. Teach the kids. There's no reason the kids shouldn't panic. If anything, they can contribute a little bit if they know what their part is. If their little role is to find their flashlight and go get the dog and the dog food, that's something mom and dad don't have to worry about. And then they feel like they're part of it. They're not just a victim. They kind of have some control, so the kids don't freak. That's my neighbor with the obnoxious car. What's funny, he's probably only going like 10 miles an hour. He can't help it the way he made that car. But yeah, get your kids involved. Don't freak them out. Don't tell them zombies are coming, because that's not going to help them. Then they'll be up all night crying. Get them involved. Teach them the fire extinguishers. Teach them where the first aid kits are. Teach them how to pack their own bags. Tell them, hey, if we're going to go for a 4-day trip, you need 4 underwear, 4 t-shirts. Get them a little duffel bag. Teach them to pack their own toiletries. You're going to have to check them because they're kids, but at least they can lay them out on the bed, and then you go up, make sure they got what they need, pack it with them, give them their little bag, and say, okay, go get the dog, and they have a job. Just have those plans. So many people are getting caught off guard with this weird stuff, and there's no need. The hurricane, we all saw it coming. The drought has been a very slow, painful process out in California, but they knew it was coming, so they're not completely fine. Oh, seriously? Your dogs could hear it on your side? Yeah, my Papillon is pissed off. He's behind. I can hear him sniffing under the back door here because he wants to talk. He wants to talk smack to the car. That's just funny. So yeah, and thankfully he used to have a night shift, that guy, and you knew he was trying, because he'd hit the gas and go brrr, pop, 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 and then you'd hear him roll real slow, and then brrr. I went and looked out the window. He couldn't have been doing 15. I mean, he was just going really slow. He couldn't help it. Just he got really loud pipes on that car. That's his fun weekend car, but he had to drive it for work for about 2 weeks when his pickup went down, and that's all you heard every night. But in any case, guys, look, Cyber Polygon is ongoing, like I started the video with. Other than somebody trying to hack the exercise, which is kind of ironic, they're just playing war games. Although I'm not a fan of Russia saying that they want to explore the digital ruble so they can control what people can buy. The government will decide what you can and can't buy, which I guess they do to an extent now, but they'll just decide you can't buy something that's otherwise legal. I'm a little iffy on that. But anyway, nothing major has come of that, but the hacks are ongoing, so this is a problem. But this weather, guys, it's weird, and it's causing trouble. So y'all take care. Jeep, thanks for stopping in, man, and I'm glad you're able to hop in and share your thoughts. But folks, I know everyone's got stuff to do. It is a Saturday. It's pretty nice out here. So I'm going to let all of y'all go. If you're on the road or traveling, Godspeed and be safe. Everyone else, take care of yourselves and yours, and help someone out if you can. I'll see you next time. Take care. Be safe.